All right, good morning, people of Abia State. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning. If you live right here in Umuahia, good morning, wherever it is you're tuned in from, all of our environment, all our horizons. Thank you so much for keeping a date with us right here on Rapid 96.5 FM Umuahia. It's the sound of your city, your Osiso radio. Welcome to Rapid Roundtable and this amazing week. And my name is Faith Kevin. You can also call me Queen Sugar. Yes, because I bring all things sweet. We're going to be dropping lots of interesting political and news stories, of course, that made the rounds this week. Speaking about the period of the 23rd day of March up until today, 28th day of March. I hope you had a very good night rest, and I hope you had a very fulfilling week, eventful week. And of course, how we are coping, as regards the rate of the fuel price. I know the pricing of fuel is not been easy for us as a people. It's affected a lot, including transportation. I got to witness firsthand how the tricycle riders kept getting the people to get used to the new rates that they were dishing out. And of course, a lot of people, whether they know what the new rates are, it doesn't make it any easier. I've had cases where tricycle riders had to tell passengers, no, I'm not going at that rate. And passengers had to alight from the tricycle because they couldn't afford the rate, maybe up until they meet someone who will most likely not mind going with the rate they were going to. And there's a whole lot of begging. In fact, I had to do some begging myself. So it's not an easy one. I'm sure prices of food also has also had a fair share of its effect on that fuel rate. But we had some good news come through. I think there's been a little bit of reduction, just a few nairas down, not necessarily that low, still above 1,000 plus. All right, welcome to the program where the week's biggest story meets the voices of the people. This is not just another show, another political show. It's where we slow down the headlines and ask the most difficult questions and even give you, the listener, the opportunity to speak directly to these issues shaping our state and our nation. Of course, from all angles. We believe the conversation is not yet complete until you say something about it. So as we break down this biggest development this week, your opinions definitely matter. So later on, I'll be opening the phone lines for you to join the discussion, share your perspective, challenge these ideas, and tell us what this story mean from where you stand. Whether you agree, disagree, or you have a completely different take, this is definitely your platform. So stay with us. Follow the conversation. All right. Taking a step back, let's unpack some of the biggest development that defined the week in Nigeria. We'll be starting with the APC convention. Yes, this week Abuja became the center of political activity. The All Progressives Congress held a major national convention that was attended by governors, party leaders, and even thousands of delegates. Over 30 governors reportedly gathered in the capital alongside thousands of party faithfuls, signaling just how significant this convention was. But conventions are never just ceremonial gatherings, they are about power, they're about alignment and preparations for the future. And in Nigeria's political landscape, every convention is supposed to carry a deep message, particularly as attention is now beginning to turn towards the 2027 elections. Now, for the ruling party, the convention was an opportunity to consolidate their internal structure, reaffirm loyalty among key political actors, and of course, set the tone for the next political cycle. Anyway, speculations coming through is that events like this is what's going to, is going to determine who's going to gain influence within the party hierarchy and who's going to fade into the background. Because in politics, timing is everything. Beyond this political theater, Nigerians are asking an important question. Does this party consolidation, does it translate to better governance? Or is it simply politics as usual? Anyway, that's not without President Tinubu saying that, like, as against what people think, we do not want a one party state. That's what he's saying. He's insisting that his administration does not seek a one party state. He was speaking at the same convention, and he said that they could not burn the constitutional freedom of association. He's expressing his belief in credible opposition. According to him, democracy thrives on vibrant and healthy competition. So, in case you're still thinking that this one party state is definitely what the president says after, the president is trying to take that off your mind and tell you that that is not what he desires and it's not even really good for governance. So, that's not without the APC also saying that, in as much as, yes, they want President Tinubu to come through for the second term, they are not particularly excluding anybody else who wants to vie for the position within the party. So you'll get the memo, right? Whether you believe it or not, that's what they say that it is. But here's the contrast. Under President Tinubu, the All Progressive Congress already has about 32 governors. And the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, is telling us that it's going to increase. It's going to increase definitely even before the 27 elections. He was speaking at the convention. Speaking from a place of pride, anyways, speaking from a place of pride, he says that because of the All Progressive Congress in power, Nigeria is returning to the world stage. And he says it's because the house is in order. When the house is in order, when the National Assembly is aligned, when everyone is committed to the renewed hope agenda, Nigeria is going to see progress. Anyways, that's what you have to say, sir. We're still looking out. All right, let's move away from that to talk about President Tinubu's political and diplomatic moves with the United Kingdom. Yes, attention has been shifted beyond Nigerian borders because the president embarked on that diplomatic visit to the United Kingdom. And the idea was to strengthen bilateral relations between the two nations. And this visit carried a lot of symbolic and practical importance because Nigeria and the United Kingdom already share a deep historical, economic, and political tie. But diplomacy today is not just about handshake. It's not just about taking photos. It's about real partnership that's going to translate into real change for people. It's about migration policies, investments, and security cooperation. Anyways, let's let you know that during this visit, there was a lot of discussion on trade collaboration, migration, opportunities to attract more investments in Nigeria, which is what we are actually hoping for. But for many Nigerians, which the question still remains, this diplomatic engagement, dear Mr. President, are we going to see it translate into real economic opportunities at home? All of these foreign relations, we know it can do so much for Nigeria. It can shape everything from our trade policies to job creation. But the ultimate test is going to happen after this meeting has ended, and which is where we will now begin to see if new investments are going to flow in, if trade is going to expand, if it's or is it just going to remain another high profile diplomatic visit, especially when we're talking about how expensive it was for the presidency to embark on such a trip. They took almost the entire leading team with them on that visit. And it sparked a lot of outrage, of course, among Nigerians. All right, let's move it away from there to talk about something that happened with the central bank. Of course, this is for the economy, moving economic wise. Central Bank of Nigeria announced a policy, and they said it's a policy shift that would have significant implications for our foreign exchange market. International oil companies are now allowed to retain and repatriate their export earnings. Because I'm going to explain this. For years, Nigeria's foreign exchange system has been a major issue for investors. Companies are struggling with accessing foreign currency or moving their profits across borders. So this new policy now is to address some of these concerns. And according to what economic analysts believe, that it would improve investor confidence and, in a way, increase the inflow of foreign currency into the country. But economic policy is not that simple. Some observers have argued that though such reforms will attract investors, may attract investors, they should also be balanced with policies that will protect Nigeria's local economy. So the debate continues. I hope at the end of the day, it's not going to go on benefiting multinational companies much more than it benefit the ordinary Nigerians. Still in this week, Academic Staff Union of Universities, who we thought are going to be really laid back for a long time, they've come again. They've issued a fresh ultimatum to the federal government, and they still have unresolved issues, apparently. So sad, so disappointing. And this is about lecturer salaries and university funding. For every average Nigerian student, when you hear the word ASU, you just become anxious because you know what it means, right? Over the years, prolonged strikes, repeatedly disrupting academic calendars across the country, and parents are still worried about the future of their children because these students are losing valuable time. But the lecturers continue to argue, which is definitely right because their interests should be protected as well. These lecturers continue to argue that poor funding, poor working conditions is threatening the quality of higher education. Now, the current ultimatum is raising a familiar question. Are Nigerian universities heading towards another shutdown? Because you brought us to the table, you said you were going to go through with the new salary structure. I very much remember early on in this year when very big, massive meeting was held in Abuja, and everybody spoke and talked about how they're grateful for the government coming through and how they look forward to its implementation. So obviously nothing has been done. And we don't know what this means for our Nigerian universities. Will the government and union leaders find common ground before this situation escalates? Because we have millions of young people who are still in school and looking forward to graduating in due time. They don't need to add this to the problems they're already having. The stakes could not be higher, really. All right, Nigeria's political landscape also witnessed a major wave of defections this week. We had lawmakers, key political figures switching parties, of course, as the race is really, really heading fast towards the 2027 general election, and it's really beginning to intensify. At this point, you know how important it is to position. Yes, you know how it is to position. Well, one of the most talked about developments for this week was the defection of several lawmakers from the People's Democratic Party and other opposition parties to alternative platforms, including the African Democratic Congress, the ruling All Progressive Congress. And this movement occurred both in the National Assembly of Nigeria and at the state level. Within the legislation, there were reports indicating that a group of senators and members of the House of Rep formally announced their defections during plenary sessions. Uh, and also at state level, similar movements were recorded. Politicians moved towards the parties they believe is going to offer them stronger political platforms, particularly in states where the ruling parties currently enjoy greater influence. All right, we have Ireti Kingibe Federal Capital Territory from the Labour Party to the ADC, amongst others, of course. Naya Baribi for Abia South moved from the All Progressive Grand Alliance to the ADC as well. I think we're aware of that. Of course, security situations is not without its own take. Every other week, so sad, but we always have reports of one security incident or the other. This week, it's a lot of rape cases, a lot of murder cases, accidents on the road. Well, we're drawing our attention specifically to the suicide bomb attack that claimed lives in Maiduguri, the capital of Borno State. The communities that have begun rebuilding their lives after years of conflict are once again being confronted with fear and uncertainty. Also, as regards the rape festival in Ozoro community in Edo State, the security operatives brought to our notice that a lot of arrests has been made as regards that. All right, bringing it home to Abia State. reports coming through that over 100 people officially joined the Labour Party. And this is at the headquarters of the Abia South Local Government Council. This could be a major boost for the party ahead of the 2027 general elections. Yes, also in this week, the governor of Abia State inaugurated the Ultimum Beverages Factory in Aba. This development has been described as a validation of his government's economic reforms. And he's even putting it out that his administration has created a business friendly ecosystem that's designed to attract investors. And this is way beyond public infrastructure. I think that's the correct impression, that the government is all about public infrastructure. So he's saying that this is beyond that. He's also restored security to communities where criminals once laid siege. So yes, Abia State is open for business, more like a business-friendly ecosystem. And this is an investment by the Kaji Group, the promoters of Ultimum Beverages. He said the company quietly established their facility in Aba over a 2-year period without seeking publicity. But the project has symbolized an economic revival anchored on deliberate planning, highlighting some of the advantages of investing in Aba, which is like a lower production cost, access to markets, and government support, among other benefits. So yes, that's the government plying his trade right there. Also, just yesterday was the convocation ceremony of a couple of people in Abia State University, Uturu. Yes, it was so massive because they had a couple of different sets that come together. And a lot happened at that event. The governor announced a comprehensive package of incentives for outstanding graduates of Abia State University, ABSU. We're talking automatic employment for first-class graduates. Now, the incentive also includes postgraduate scholarship for the outstanding graduates up to doctoral level, and then a 200 million naira entrepreneurship fund to 100 graduates with innovative business plans. Yes, if you have an innovative business plan, there's a 200 million naira entrepreneurship fund waiting for you that's going to scale up your business. That's what the graduates please. So the governor made this announcement just yesterday. It's a combined convocation ceremony, actually, 30th to 32nd, combined convocation ceremony. All right, so the graduates, the first class graduates, they will be retained as graduate assistants. That is subject to their completion of their National Youth Service Corps. Also, the best graduating students in each department will be a part of this, not just the first class graduates, but the addition for the first class graduate is the postgraduate scholarship in any public university of their choice within the country up to doctorate level. And then 100 exceptional graduates will be absorbed into the state civil service. They are going to be there to fill critical gaps, particularly education, ICT, and health-related fields. All right, the government also announced a personal donation of 5 million naira to the overall best graduating student, Mrs. Oluchi Etosim of the Department of Educational Planning. She graduated with an outstanding CGPA of 4.81. She's a mother, she's a scholar. So the governor really had to commend her resilience. He says her achievement is a proof that nothing can hold down and anyone down, and then he urged other students to remain focused and strive for excellence. That was not all that happened at the convocation. The governor spoke about key projects under his administration, which is a new faculty law for the school, 5,000 capacity male and female hostels, internal road networks, solar powered street lighting, and the provision of engineering equipment for civil, mechanical, electrical, and electronic departments. From that convocation, it was recorded 10,255 graduates from 3 academic sessions. 69 emerged with the exception of first-class distinctions across diverse disciplines. Talk about it happening at the right time. Imagine you convocated before then, So someone who thought the convocation was delayed or thought it's a bad thing, something terrible has happened to them, will be grateful now that they actually delayed the convocation up until this time. Well, a couple of persons got honorary degrees, and the governor later laid the foundation for the reconstruction of the ABSU International Secondary School. All right, also in this week, particularly on Thursday, a state burial service in honor of the late Abia-born international gospel evangelist, Reverend Dr. Umuahia, who slept in the Lord on October 6, 2025 at the age of 80 years, was held right here in Abia State. And it drew an array of eminent personalities. I'm talking the governor of Abia State, represented by his deputy and his wife, and then the Labour Party's 2023 presidential candidate, Peter Obi. He was definitely here in Umuahia. Deputy governors from various states, of course, the wife of the former Edo State Governor, Godwin Obaseki, they all came to pay respect to the late Umuahia. The governor spoke about how he insisted that the honor service must hold, for the late cleric. And then yesterday, being Friday, he was finally laid to rest in his hometown. Everyone spoke really well of the late cleric, and the hope is that his legacy will continue to stay and to stand, of course. Away from that, a prominent political figure, Abia State, Raymond Ofwebu, yes, has resigned from the All Progressives Congress. He says it's as a result of moral conviction and the worsening socio-economic conditions in Nigeria. A massive development for Abia State in this week is when the Deputy High Commissioner of Canada to Nigeria, Carlos Rojas Abulu, reaffirmed his country's commitment to strengthen economic and cultural ties with Nigeria, But Abia State is a strategic partner that they're looking at. They were live at Mvosi, represented by Canada's Trade Commissioner and Second Secretary, Mrs. Delane Boaki. And the idea, what's attracting them, is definitely aviation, energy, particularly clean energy and education. They are priority areas for collaboration. That's what they're looking at. So Abia has been chosen as the first state to visit. It's just highlighting the state's strength in human capital, according to them, and that's why the attraction is for Abia State first. Of course, the governor stated that Abia State is definitely ready for that partnership, particularly in energy development. The Abia Soccer Fest 2025-2026 state finals was held in Umuahia this week as well. An initiative, a tournament that was designed to identify grassroots talents. 100 matches was played across the 17 local governments. And of course, it shows the government's commitment to youth development through sports. Yes, on health, a particular story came through on our primary health center that was able to perform an emergency surgery on a pregnant woman who had twin babies. She came into the hospital in a very critical condition. According to report, she came through in a very critical condition, but they were able to handle the situation right on time. This PHC Primary Health Center in Umuahia South, and this happened to be a life-threatening obstetric emergency. Someone would have said, "Oh no, such a hospital shouldn't be able to handle that." But she had eclampsia, yeah, that's severe pregnancy complication. But through that emergency cesarean section, Chikamso Ibekwe, she was delivered of twin boys weighing 3.2 kilograms each. State Commissioner for Health was present. He visited the facility and described the outcome as a validation of Governor Oti's ongoing healthcare reforms under the Project Ekweme initiative. The doctor who carried out the procedure was also well recognized. And the success of that operation has been attributed to the recent upgrade of the facility by the state government, because she said that, I'm talking about the Health Authority Secretary, Eukaria Igwe, that the PHC is now equipped with trained personnel and functional units that can handle emergency cases. That's a very big win for Abia State this week. All right, yesterday as well, we were at the OT Speaks the Abians March edition, where the governor highlighted a lot of reforms coming through in this month and this time. Of course, he spoke specifically about the airport, who he encouraged everyone, if you have a chance, he said anyone can access the airport now. You can go see how the work is going on and how everything is panning out beautifully. Spoke about major reforms in the health sector, spoke about infrastructure and road work still going on in the state. It was an important session to bring to mind and bring the people up to speed on developments happening in Abia State. And of course, to also let Abians get the opportunity to ask questions, and a lot of questions were put out. A particular question that really, really stood out was, The federal road currently being constructed by the Abia State Government and concerns if the state is going to get compensation or a refund. And the governor allayed that worry by saying it's not the federal who plies the road, it's Abians who take that road. So it's of more importance to us than it is to the federal at this point. Yes, he also spoke about the Okunaku case and the delegates who were sent to go and investigate. Of course, is beyond the timeline initially given for feedback from that committee. And someone put up that one of us put up that question, trying to find out what's happening as regards feedback from the committee. And we got to know that there's been an extension of 60 days as the initial timeline given is not enough to get all the reports needed. So yes, everyone's have their fingers crossed and are still waiting for feedback on the crisis in that community from the delegates, of course. All right, that's the much we can take. Big stories happening this week, right here on Rapid Roundtable with Faith Kevin. I'm going to open the phone lines at this point so that you can make your contribution. It's time to hear from you. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, my sister Kate.
Welcome.
Yeah, this is Mr. Eze in Carlos from Abia State Home of Hospitality, #1 community in Abia State.
Welcome.
For truth, I want to commend our amiable visionary and innovative governor, Dr. Les Chioma Oti. Most especially this monthly media chat he normally organized in Abia is a good one, very commendable. And he has proven to be a true Democrat because such platform that he has created, he uses it to interact with Abians and he gives the opportunity for Abians to ask questions. That is very nice. He's giving people the sense of belonging. And that is how it's supposed to be. Even other governors should emulate such a character. And I'm happy how he was addressing some vital issues and answering some questions. It's a welcome development. And I must commend him. Some of the developmental projects he highlighted, the ones that the work is still on progress and the ones that have been completed. That is how it's supposed to be. And I'm so delighted that all the sectors are getting attention from the government. Because a good education health, force, and otherwise is doing the needful. And my prayer, God may God continue to help him to sustain the tempo. And there is no other thing we can say to him as a leader that is doing well, just like to a child is doing well in the school. The only thing we tell that person is to keep it up. So keep it up, we are going to tell him, we are going to support him for a second tenure. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. The phone lines are open 091 60,000 965 or 091 965. I'll take it again 091 60,000 965 or 091 965. Oh yes. So from all of the stories that we've touched on this morning, and from the biggest stories making rounds this week, which of the stories would you like to lend your voice to? You can do that quickly on 091 60,000 965 or 091 965. What do you think about the recent investment moves by the governor? What do you think about the convocation ceremony that was held yesterday and all of the should I say the massive gifts that will be given to the graduates, of course the best graduated students? On my part, I think it's going to really inspire young people to take education seriously, because imagine the incentive, or should I say the reward, that comes with exceptional academic excellence. Yes, also on that note, Tech Rise Season 3 application is already on. So, yes, if you're one of those youth who feel like you're not yet feeling the impact of what the governor is doing, you can go sign up for Abia Tech Rise. According to the governor yesterday at the media chat, he said it's totally free. So, if you're looking to step into the tech field and you don't have all the funds you need, you can go ahead and do that. According to the governor yesterday as well, he said that it's a very creative one because some of the graduates already have jobs, remote jobs, and some of them graduated with free laptops. So if this is your opportunity to get empowered, you can go sign up for the Abia Tech Rise Season Cohort 3. 091 60,000 965 091 965. All right, security entered the spotlight this week following the arrest of a soldier connected to a recent incident involving the Abia State Government. Yes, the Abia State Government reacted to the arrest of Staff Sergeant Amoke Simon, a personnel of Nigerian Army who was last week promised medical support by Governor Alex Oti. Let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, my dear speaker.
Welcome.
I'm calling from Umuahia.
Welcome, Okafor.
Yes, let me start with the good gesture of the governor. in Abia State University. I think he has shown that he has the interests of students at heart, and that is a very good way to encourage hard work. A way to encourage hard work. So kudos to him. Now let me go straight to the political activities going on. The truth is that we are moving, but we are not making.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
But we are not making any progressive movement in Nigeria as regards to security, economy, and development. And all these things boil down to leadership. I will plead with our leaders. Allow the system to flow. Let the people have the say. This is the political era. All concern is about 2027. Let the people have the say. At least if we can talk about quality leadership, then our development in Nigeria will be assured. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you so much, Okafo. That was a very, very amazing intake there. Because if you look at it, the attention is just panning towards 2027. And most time what happens is we lose sight of what's happening right now. A lot of things will just be on pause because everyone is working towards 2027, strategically working towards 2027. I love one of the questions that was put out last night at the media chat where someone asked, President Tinubu has said all of his appointees who have interest for politics this season coming on should resign. And the governor was asked when he was going to give same directive to the persons in his own under his own leadership right here in Abia State. Yes, because that being said, you can't sit on that seat and then you're strategically working towards your next. What happens is that a lot of oversight, you're not going to see what's happening right now, and that's not what the people need. You're not supposed to be there vying for something else. I think that's a very good move on the part of President Tinubu there. All right, our time is fast drawing to a close, but you still have a couple of minutes in case you want to push that call through and still drop your thoughts or opinions. 091 60,000 965 091 60 333 965. We're definitely looking forward to hearing from you. Yes, the governor also dismissed rumors suggesting that he might defect from the Labour Party amid internal disputes within the party. He allayed those fears yesterday and he said that there is no dispute anymore because it's being resolved. He's still committed to the party. And of course, the recent court decisions has already addressed the leadership issues affecting the party. Although I had a little murmur around, people were still trying to say, okay, are you sure about that? But that's what he said. So for many of the voters, I think, just like Mr. Okafo says, we just want the governance to continue without distraction. Yeah, you can now call us in 1 minute or two to share your thoughts. 091 60,000 965 or 091 60 333 965. Yes, another big, massive announcement came through last night. As I wrap up with this one, a Church of Latter-day Saints donated a world-class magnetic resonance imaging machine, that's the MRI, worth $1 million to Abia State. Wow, and this is to boost healthcare delivery in the state. So this machine will be installed at the Abia State University Teaching Hospital once it arrives. It means that Abians don't have to go outside for MRIs anymore. And the governor was really excited about that generous gesture because it's going to definitely enhance medical services in Abia State. Also, an agreement with the federal government came through. The Ministry of Arts and Culture that they're going to renovate the National War Museum and the Ojuku Bunker in Umuahia, the state capital. A lot of good things happening. It's so glad to know that this week, aside the insecurity issues in some parts of the north, this week has a lot of good stories to tell. And we'll be wrapping up on that note on Rapid Roundtable. Thank you for those who tuned in, listening to me, enjoying their weekends. Thank you for spending your Saturday morning with us right here on Rapid 96.5 FM, the sound of your city, your Aussie Soul Radio, and myself, Sugar, Fake Kevin, that is. Thank you so much. Have yourself a splendid day, and let's see you again next week, Saturday. Keep listening to Rapid 96.5 FM. Good morning.
This Saturday morning, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., Rapid 96.5 FM presents Rapid Roundtable. The ultimate newsroom experience.
When I was president, I wanted to do something about the three. So I do police stations.
Yeah.
For them.
Thank you so much for watching this. My name is Faith Kevin. I work with Rapid every Saturday, 7 o'clock to 8, just like this. I bring you top stories on what's trending or what happens in the entire week in Nigeria. And because I'm in Abia State, of course, in Abia State. So if you're interested in staying up to date, what's happening in Abia State, and of course, you're just interested in random talks about politics and staying up to date on agenda and how it affects you and everyone, please give this channel a like, a subscribe, of course, and be a part of my community. Thank you for watching.